next thing we're going to do and take the ribber. Ribber has this little stopper. This stopper meets up with this adjuster right here. It's a little difficult to see underneath the web, but I showed it to you before. What you're going to do is, all right, I know where that stopper is, I know where this is. You want to make sure this piece is away on the far side of this stopper. Right in that hole, and that hole, and you want to spin this around until it stops. Okay, it stopped, it's hit against that part. And what I want you to see is I'm holding it still, and I want you to watch the orientation of the ribber needle to the cylinder hole. You want that to be dead over it. So I'm gonna adjust this little screw down here, moves that dial just a little bit. Let's put it right about there. That's good. I got lucky. Okay, I found I missed this very important little part. This is a stop. And what it's going to do is this stopper is going to hit against this piece. This is called a timing screw. Do not mess with the timing screw until later. It's bad. It's kind of tough to get set up just right. Now, before we go, we're just going to spin this around just a little bit, make sure everything works. Everything's great, nobody stops. We are wonderful. Okay. This is a wonderful, if you can find one of these tiny tins, find one. I find it's absolutely perfect for my ribber needles. It fits them great. I can grab them right out of the box. I know exactly which ones are my ribber needles because they're the only things that'll fit in this little box. It's wonderful. I'm having a hard time finding another one in the store. You're going to take a ribber needle. Gonna make sure that the latch is open. All right, and you can adjust that later. It's easier to do it now though. And you're going to insert that into the space. And you're going to do that on every single one. Latch open into the space. Latch open into the space. Now, if we hadn't started every other needle like we did, you can always do a knit two together by taking a yarn and moving it onto the next needle to free up a cylinder. Or you can transfer the stitches. That's shown in Norma's tape, and that works really, really well. Okay, we're going to come back. I'm going to have all these done. What you're going to do is you're going to go around all the ones you can get to. You're going to crank ahead just a little bit and finish up the ones you can't. We'll come back when I have that finished. Okay, you can see I have all the needles in. Bring it around. Now, one place that things could get a little messed up is if you look at your yarn carrier. Notice down here how your needles have to pass underneath your yarn carrier. Now, your yarn carrier is pretty close to those needles. You will most likely, if you put in thicker yarn, need to lift this just a scooch. We're going to bring that around. We're going to lift it up just a little bit because it's pretty close. It's one of those areas that you can, definitely be head and needle. Notice how I lifted it up. I didn't lift it up a lot, just a little bit. And you're really looking to make sure that you can pass those needles. Yeah, you're still pretty close. And lift it up a little bit more. There you go. Okay, we're doing good. We're clear underneath the needles. We can still, up here at the top, you can still pass the yarn. and still pass the yarn right here. You can see how it's all fitting. All right. While we have you looking at the top, I want to point out this thing. This is what puts your needles in and out work. If the way to remember it is, if this is in towards the center of the machine, needles are in work. If it is out towards the outside of the machine, the needles are out of work. If it's pointed out towards the outside of the machine, it's out of work. Okay? You can see the little divot where the ball bearing goes into. The other part that's interesting on the tablet plate is this. This is your tension adjustment for your ribber. Now, most people, me included, once you get it happy ribbing, never ever ever touch this because it doesn't seem to matter. The only thing that really seems to matter is your tension on your needles on your cylinder, not your tension on your ribber, and it's just a way to get into trouble. Most people just leave it in the center. I know some people that leave it all the way to the inside of the machine. So don't touch it unless you have to. All right, now you're ribbing along. Notice how I am under the machine. I am holding the machine. See if you have the ribbing. I'm holding it, folding it in two, and holding it, pulling it down. Because you want even tension along all the needles. Oops, and this guy just lost it. Because he wasn't getting even tension. Okay, so again, we're just dealing with waste yarn, and we got an oopsie right there. That's an oopsie. When you have the ribber on, it's really hard to fix oopsies, so just go with it. Oops. And there we go. And we're just ribbing happily away, and it's nice and smooth. And again, I cannot emphasize enough that for this machine, actually all machines are like that, but this machine's really picky. You have to have a clear feed of the yarn to the machine, or else you will drop stitches. It's not a if, it's a when. If at any point you feel resistance in your crank, stop. It's like your mom taught you when you cross the street. Stop, look, and listen. You stop, you look around, maybe you tap it forward just a little bit, you listen to where the problem is, and then you find it. Maybe a needle got in the wrong place, maybe something happened, but you have to stop and look at what's going on. If you don't, you will bust a needle. It really is the worst thing you will do with this machine is break a needle. They're 50 cents a piece now. They might be more later, but and that's not horribly expensive, but if you blow through all of them, you're looking at a lot of money. And so don't worry about breaking your machine. The pretty much almost the worst thing that you're going to do is bust a needle, and you can behead these things that can get stuck in places. So watch. Anyway, I just wanted to show you how it works. Here's the needle, and you can see it ribbing. Okay, now I'm going to take this off the machine. What you do is you break a yarn, and you're going to hold it. Now if you had a buckle there, you want to take off the buckle and the weights. I'll hold this down, and you're going to crank, and it's just going to come right off the machine. Oh, except for one little piece. It's only because you're watching. Okay, now this is the stuff we were working on. You can see how it looks, all nice and pretty ribbed. And you can see where I got a little ahead of myself when the machine was off, and I wasn't holding the tension solid on that left-hand side and the yarn caught, and you can see exactly what happens. You can feel it right in your hands, and you can see that it drops the stitches. Again, if you feed the yarn right and you pay attention to what's going on, you don't spit, you don't crank over fast, it really comes out very, very nice. But there you go. Oh, and on this, all I do is I take a pair of scissors, cut it right here, and reuse the bag.